want to sincerely thank Nelson and Giovanni because this invitation gave me the opportunity of organize my ideas about a topic from participation to collaboration, which I think is the main challenge that participatory research and practice has to face for the next years. At the moment, this topic is the core of the debate inside our team. And so I'm very happy to share with you some of the thoughts derived from our experience. What is important to say is that we are not architects, neither urbanists. We all have a social scientist background, which makes us work pretty well with architects, so we don't fight. We work mainly with local authorities and NGOs, foundation enterprises. This to say that we use our toolkit of participatory methods in many fields, not only in urban planning and design. And since 2007, we managed over 170 projects on using participatory methods. Here you can see more or less where we work, mainly in Tuscany, because as you probably know, we have a very good law which supports a participatory process. About our topic. Since 2007, in the field of urban planning and design, we organized 20 participatory processes on general urban plans, 5 processes on design of public space or buildings, so more specific, and 4 processes on big regional development plans. So we have a quite wide experience, and we are able now to make a kind of balance. After 10 years and almost 30 participatory processes in urban planning and architectural design of public space, we have to think of what we have learned. We have mainly 2 lessons from this experience. The first lesson is that involving people through a well-designed participatory process really improves the quality of decision. So this is the good news, because the involvement of citizens, I say things that you probably already know, but just to, it makes the plan current with people's needs and expectations. It makes the plan respectful of local values and identity. It gives information derived from collective memories. It improves the quality of decision by considering a multi-stakeholder perspective. So I can confirm that all those statements are true. And last but not least, participation is a key indicator of public happiness and well-being. But the second lesson I learned from my experience, and this is the bad news, is that involving people through a well-designed participatory process is not enough to have all what we said before. What do I intend as a participatory planning approach? I intend a way to design plans and projects that involve citizens as a source of information and as very important stakeholders. And we do it by asking their opinion and engaging them in different stages of the design process. This is what I intend as participatory planning, as a participatory planning approach. And as you can see, the local people intervene in the different stages with different kind of methods. And for years, we strongly believed in participatory planning. With this word, participatory planning, we consider the etymology as participare, from Latin, which means to take part. So we worked to prepare information and to collect data. And we organized working groups with citizens and technical staffs. We discussed many issues using engaging and interesting methods. And people really helped us identify problems, they provided ideas, they found solutions. So all this was very good and satisfying. But if we look at the participatory process as a part of a wider decision-making process, all this seems not to be sufficient. Let's see. This is a scheme which represents what happens for a single public space project. So, like the planning, the replanning of a square, for example. And in the wider line, you can see the technical and institutional process, from the city council deliberation, from the realization of the project. And in the little circle, you can see the participative process. So as you can see, the participatory process intervenes in a little part of the wider decision-making process. And if we are very lucky, from the participation to the effective realization of what people asked or of people wanted, we will have from 3 to 5 years. Some of the participants could be dead. And yes, because we have many older people that participate. What happens with a general urban planning is even worse, much worse. Because as you know, a general urban planning is something very abstract. You don't see really immediately how the territory change. So we have the same scheme, but the realization, the changes can arrive after 10 years, if they arrive. So, a first evaluation of our experience, very practical. In half of the cases, the urban plans were approved, taking into account at different levels the outcomes of the participatory process. In 1/4 of the cases, the decision-making procedures are still ongoing. And in 1/4 of the cases, the decision-making process was stopped after the participatory process. So we have some failures. What happened is that in 10 years, in only one single case, citizens could really see fulfilled what they contributed to plan. And this happened after 5 years. So we had more than 30 participatory process, but we could see a square realized as the people asked, just in one single case. What to say? Did participation betray its promises? No, I don't think so. I think that in our experience, participation of these citizens really helped to design better decisions. I still believe it. And I think that it really empowered communities. And it really worked for a greater social cohesion. But people generally could not see it. And this generates frustration, it generates loss of attention, and a perceived gap between needs and answers. And I have to say that I have I'm very lucky, because mainly I worked with very good administrations, with really committed politicians, with people that really believed in what they were doing. But still, this is what happened. It's, I don't know who is the guilty party, and I don't think it is important to look for the guilty party. But I think we have to switch, to change something in our approach to participation and to and to the engagement of citizens. So I think that we need to switch from a participatory approach to a collaborative approach. What does it mean? It means that we have to ask people and other stakeholders not only taking part, but being part. And so this is what I think is the change of paradigm. So in this case, this is the participatory approach, the first one. The Community Council asks citizens, enterprise, civic organizations what they want, what they need, and they take in account of what they get from their stakeholders. And this is a collaborative approach in which all those are partners for the same goal. It's a completely different way of staying in the process. Citizens, civic organizations, schools, local enterprises do not just take part, but they are partners in caring. And this changes on how you manage the process in practical terms. Because in practical terms, it means to switch from a project planning approach, which is the one I described before, in which we ask and give feedback, to a design thinking approach. What does it mean? This is a design thinking approach, which means to go to the territory, to empathize, listening, have a first point of view of the needs of the community. But what is really different from the other approach is the second part, is prototyping and testing. I give you an example which may clarify better what I'm saying. This is a process which was a collaborative planning process, which was supported by the Tuscany Regional Authority. And it was a project for a square in Florence, a square was perceived as a very insecure and unused by people. What did we do? First, as described you, empathize, so listening to the community, as we usually do in normally participatory process. Then involving stakeholders, which means ask them not what do you need, but what can we do now? What can you do as a stakeholder? This was the owner of a bar, which was very angry. But we asked him, why are you angry? What can the administration do? But at first, what can you do for make the situation better? Then, as in usual participatory planning, we had moments of brainstorming for getting solutions and ideas from citizens and other stakeholders. But different question, not only what do you need, but what can you do from now? Okay, the government will give the city council will give money to make the square better, but now, what can we do from now? And so we started the prototyping and testing phase, which means, for example, organizing a dinner in the square with a little concert, just to test how would it be transforming the parking in a real lively public space. Another prototype and test was to organize a games library. So we collected from residents some games to be used in the square, and the bar offered a space to stock these games so that every child can borrow the games and use them in the square just by asking the bar order. And so with a very simple method, we could make the square more lively with the engagement of all these different stakeholders. We tried another test was the educational garden with the partnership of the school. In a portion of the green areas of the square, the local school asked to plant flowers and to have some space for educational garden. So we tried. Maybe it works, maybe not. But we started to ask to the school, to the children, to the families, to take care of the space. And so while waiting for public works, local stakeholders continued to plan little events in the space and to keep the space lively. Another thing that happened is that a protocol agreement between a community civic organization and the community council to ensure the routine maintenance of the space. And another agreement between the school and the city council to formalize the existence of the educational garden. And so what happened at the end? It happened that thanks to these prototype experiences, the local community began to leave the space, which was usually perceived as empty and insecure, as I told you. It happened that people's needs changed and were refined. At the beginning of the process, most of the residents asked for more parkings. At the end of all this prototyping and testing phase, they are asked as a lively public space. But it happened just because they had experience of it. And finally, the best news was that after the success of the events organized by all the stakeholders, the shops, the bar, the residents, the school, the community council decided to invest much more money in to make public works in the square. So 400,000 euros in public works, while before the investment was of 1/4. So I think this will be the future of a new way of planning and using a participatory approach. So thank you.